back students. I am your SST teacher Vandana Joshi and you are watching SST June. Students, in chapter migration today we are going to cover two more new topics about the migration. In the previous video we have studied about what is migration and the types of migration. In today's video we will cover two topics, that is the causes of migration, means why the people are migrating. So in that we will study two factors, that is pull factor and the push factor. And then after that the consequences of migration we will study at the last. So let's start our today's chapter. So as we know, there are lots of reasons of human migration, due to which they are migrating from one place to another, in which we can include the better job opportunities, health facilities, natural calamities and many more. But these can also be categorized into two categories, that is push factor and pull factors. So what is push factor and pull factor? Let's see. The push factor force people to leave their place of origin or residence. Means we know push means to push away from one place to another. So here push factor is also forcing to people to leave their place, and mainly it is due to poverty, generally in the rural areas. Then lack of basic infrastructure. The basic infrastructure for education, health facilities are not available on that area. So that's why the people move from one place to another. And for the natural disasters as well. Sometime we are getting the natural disaster in many areas. The flood prone areas are there, disaster prone areas are there. So due to that also people are migrating from their place to another. Then second factor is pull factor. To pull the people from their own place to the next place. That these attract people from backward areas. So generally the people those are used to live in the villages and the rural areas, they have to move from their backward or inconvenient areas to the urban areas. So these attract people from backward areas, from rural to urban areas. Generally, we know that the facilities which we are getting as compared to the rural areas, these are much better in the urban areas. So, from rural to urban areas for better job opportunities, education facilities, health facilities and many other facilities. So, these are the two factors or causes of migration. Now, let's see these two factors in detail. So students, if you will go through page number 19 in your book, there are 4 stories. One of Arif Khan, second of Subhalakshmi, third is of Mohan Singh and fourth is of Manish Gavarkar. They all are facing the push or pull factors in many sense, as they have to earn for their family, so they have to search some better job opportunities or the educational facilities. So here you can see in the story for the detailed explanation of push and pull factor. Here we will go through the push and pull factor with some more points. If we will go through the push factor. First, what is push factor? Those factors which make the place of origin seem less attractive are called push factors. The factors of unemployment, poor living conditions, political turmoil, unpleasant climate, natural disasters, epidemics, and socio-economic backward this is coming under the push factor. Now we will go through the pull factors. What are the pull factors? Those factors which make the place of destination seem more attractive than the place of origin are called pull factors. The place of destination provides better job opportunities and living conditions, peace and stability, security of life and property and pleasant climate are coming under the pull factors. The reason for migration of males and females are different. For example, work and employment have remained the main cause for male migration, which is around 38%, while it is only 3% for the females. Contrary to this, about 65% of female move out from their parental house following their marriage. This is the most important cause in the rural areas of India, except in Meghalaya, where reverse in the case in comparison to these marriage migration of the male in only 2% in the country. Let's check out through this pie chart in which we can see two different pictures, figure 2.2a and 2.2b, in which you can see in both the charts. In first one is reason for male migration by last residence with duration 0 to 9 years. It is according to the census of India 2001. And same in the second figure, that is the reason of female migration by last residence with duration of 9 years according to the census India 2001. In the male migration, the most migration is due to the work and employment, which is around 38%. And if you will see in the female migration, the marriage is the main reason, which is around 65%. Only 1% is of the work and employment. Or we can say the other factors are also there for the businesses, which are very least. And if you will see in the male one, to only 2% is there which is of marriage in Meghalaya, which I already told you, and only 3% is there for their businesses. So the main causes for the male migration is the employment and the work, and for the female is marriage. Now let's see what are the consequences of the human migration. So students, we have seen just now the causes of migration. Now we know that everything is having its consequences. Same like that, the migration is also having its consequences. So there are many consequences of migration. So first of all, the first consequence of migration can be economic consequences. Number two can be the demographic. Number three is social. Number four is environmental. And number five, we can include some other reasons or some other consequences. So we will go through all consequences one by one. What are the economic consequences of migration, demographic consequences of migration, social consequences of migration, environmental and the other consequences of migration. Students, for the economic consequences, we can say the consequences due to many reasons. For their economy, for their earning, the consequences are there for that, due to which the migration is happening mostly in the male migration. So remittances sent by in migrants is a major source of income for the place of their origin, and it is a source of foreign exchange for the country as well. If the international migration is happening, so it is an international source, or we can say a source of the foreign exchange. Even this is the lifeline for the poor villagers of Bihar, UP, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, as generally the people migrate from the rural areas or less developed areas to the urban areas or much developed areas. These migrants were instrumental in the success of Green Revolution in Punjab and Haryana. So that is a very positive consequence of the economic basis in the migration. And if you will go through the negative impact of the migration, that is in the form of overcrowding and development of slums in the industrially developed sectors. So these are some economic consequences. Now let's see what are the demographic consequences. Now let's see what are the demographic consequences. As the demography refers to the population, so in the demographic consequences, it leads to redistribution of the population because of the migration. Generally, the people which they lived in a particular area, they moved to another areas, due to which the population of that area is changed or affect. If they moved permanently or more than 10 or 20 years, so population can be affected and sometimes creates imbalance in the age and sex ratio. So as we know, in the female uh, reason, the females are migrating due to their marriage, due to which the age and sex ratio is can be affected. And if you will see the imbalance due to the population change, it is if in the area the population is much as compared to the another area where the population is less, so over exploitation can be possible on that area. Second consequence of the demographic migration, that is the density of population. So we know the densely populated areas are situated in Delhi, Mumbai, and some areas in Haryana. So that is due to the migration of people. So that is the demographic consequences. Now let's see some social consequences of migration. As on the social basis, the migration is having a lots of consequences because of its benefits. Generally, the migration on the social platform, it opens there enough social exchange of ideas, thoughts, knowledge, and technology. Even it is also we can say increasing the education system of the girls as well, and the awareness is also generated from the urban areas to the rural places. Technologically, we know that earlier the rural areas were not developed technically, but now after connecting with the internet facilities, which is a social platform, it is also giving a good consequences of the migration in the rural areas as well. The migration has positive impact on the different cultures due to intermixing of people, and it open up new vistas for all. On the country, it also has negative impacts. It leads to social vacuum and sense of dejections among individuals, sometimes leading to antisocial activities, crime, and drug abuse as well. So here the social consequences are having positive impact as well as the negative impact in the migration. Now let's see what is the environmental consequences. We know that migration always affecting to all platforms. So if we will go through the environmental consequences, rural urban migration leads to extra pressure on existing social and physical infrastructure of the urban areas. Even it is leading to unplanned growths and slums. Due to the migration on the environmental basis, overexploitation of natural resources leads to acute problem of depletion of groundwater. Even it is polluting air, polluting water and many other natural sources. And disposal of sewage and management of solid waste are also some environmental consequences of migration. Now let's see some other consequences of migration. Migration, even if you will exclude the marriage migration, affects the status of women directly or indirectly. In the rural areas, male selective out migration, leaving their wives behind, puts extra physical or mental pressure on the women. Even loss of human resources from the place of origin is a serious cost that they pay for remittances that they receive, because due to the migration generally the consequences are coming under the over exploitation. Where the population is high or increased, the exploitation is more over there as compared to the area where the population is less. Even the development of that area is also less as compared to the developed area of the high populated area. And the advanced skill market has become global, and the developed nation are having the trained ones from the poor countries, and they're getting that labors on the cheap basis. So that is also an impact of migration in some other reasons. Even we can include the migration of women enhance their autonomy but also enhance their vulnerability. Why? Because due to the migration, generally in India, that is based on the male migration. Then women have to follow them. Right now also the women are not having a lots of right. Their condition is little bit deteriorating in many areas. So due to which the vulnerability in the women cases is also affect due to migration. Apart from this, we can say migration is a natural process which remains same for always. Here, reasons may be a lot, as currently we are having a reason for migration is a pandemic situation from last 1.5 year, and it will remain same for upcoming time. Even the consequences of that pandemic migration will also be effect to the population. Even the death rate is also going on increase, but the infrastructure, the economic is going down right now. But we learn from the consequences of current migration which is going on, that we have to contribute in the development of nature. We have to sustain the resources, and we have to learn how to protect ourselves. So for that, we can protect ourselves and we can create more opportunity on our place, so that the migration may affect in future. So students, here our chapter migration is complete. In our next video, we will study the last topic of this first unit, that is human development. So for that, keep watching SST June.